Hello, right. Welcome to another interview. Today, our special guest is Oscar Carlson. And I met Oscar about 20 years ago when I rocked up to Melbourne looking to improve my triathlon. And this man ran a triathlon team in Melbourne, took me under his wing, and had a profound impact on my life. Yes, I improved at triathlon, but the most important thing for me, he changed my attitude and just really had such a profound impact on my life. So it's an absolute privilege to be able to interview him today. He is an inspiration, and I really hope that everyone will benefit from hearing his thoughts and his experience. So for those of you who don't know Oscar, here's a bit of background info on his life. It is difficult to know where to start because, Oscar has had a remarkable life. He entered the monastery when he was 15 and became a De La Salle brother, leaving the order after 17 years of service. His daughter Lisa was accidentally killed when she was 3 in 1976. Then in 1990, Oscar himself was lucky to be alive, having a critical accident on the bike whilst training. He suffered a crushed lung, multiple broken ribs, and pneumothorax. In 1993, his son Brett was hit by a truck and has acquired brain damage and loss of functional memory. Brett has unfortunately since suffered a stroke in 2019. Oscar had a pacemaker inserted in 2004 and has had further heart operations in 2014. So he's had quite an eventful life, but he hasn't let it stop him. And as an athlete, Oscar has won every age group at the state and Australian championships in every race distance in triathlon. He competed at the Worlds in 91 and has completed Hawaii Ironman in 89, 96, 2011. He established the Triathlon School of Australia in 1987 and began his own race team in 1991, Oscar's triathlon team. He's performed and coached in numerous sports, triathlon coach, swim coach, rugby league, athletics, rowing, basketball, recently competing for Australia at the World Champs, where they finished 4th in Finland. So Oscar, he's now 79 and has been coaching since he was 22. He's learned some very simple realities over the years, which he's going to share with us today. And hopefully this will help you question, challenge, and improve your mindset to become the best that you can be. So as you can see, Oscar has overcome, what Oscar has overcome in his life is truly remarkable. And it really is a privilege to be able to interview him today. So thank you so much for joining us today from Down Under, Oscar.
It's a pleasure, it really is.
Great stuff.
We go back a bit, but it's been a short 20 years, I think.
Do you think?
Well, was it even 20 years? Or it only seems like yesterday, to be honest.
Indeed, yeah, no, indeed. Yeah. And, you know, myself and Oscar, we did lose touch for a bit and recently reconnected. The power of social media. And, you know, it really has been so nice to have Oscar back in my life because, you know, he did have a profound impact. And hopefully today he will be able to have a similar effect on you guys. So Oscar, I mean, we've heard about your life, and amazing experiences. When did you decide to become the person you are, and why?
Yeah, well, it all goes back to when I was about 10 years old. I was one of those little kids that got belted up every lunchtime at school because I was a skinny little fella, and I was the easy pick. And it was just something that I just took for granted, that every lunchtime I was going to get belted, beaten up. not badly, but just bullied up and all the rest of it. So it was part of my lifestyle. I kind of took it for granted that that's what happened to me until one day I lived down by the beach in Melbourne on the bay, and I joined the Lifesaving Club. And I was about 10, maybe 11, I can't remember. And the Lifesaving seniors, they said to me one day, "Hey, Oscar, would you like to come out in the surf boat and have a row?" And I thought I jumped at the opportunity. It was a perfect, a great thing to do because I looked up to these blokes, and they were. So they threw me in the surf boat, and out we rode into the beautiful bay. It was a flat, calm, perfect day, and they rode and they rode and they rode and until I couldn't see the beach anymore, and then they came to a stop, and I thought, "Oh, that's nice. We'll just sit here and maybe catch a dolphin or two, or have a look at a few sharks or whatever." And then they threw me overboard. They threw me into the water and just said, "Swim." And I thought I was going to die that day. I was gobsmacked. I was terrified. I was either going to drown or eaten by a shark because they're quite prolific in the bay. And I was terrified. And they just rode off. I had no choice but to swim at the age of 10 because I could swim. But I was absolutely gobsmacked. I can visualise it to this very moment. And I finally reached the shore, and I stood up, and I was so angry. I walked up the beach, and as I walked up the beach to the clubhouse, these blokes that had thrown me overboard slapped me on the back and just said, "Well done." Didn't make any difference to me. I was so angry that I went up to the club rooms and sat, and it was that day that I made my mind up that when I was ready, that it would never happen to me again. You okay?
Yeah, good, no worries. Good timing.
Yeah.
Good old live interviews.
And I would, when I was ready, I would leave home and make my own way in life. And that happened 4 or 5 years later when I was 15, and my father being an ex-veteran of the war, alcoholic, and my mother was a vibrant Spanish woman, and arguments were rampant in the house. And so I decided that I would leave and go and join a monastery when I was 15. Nothing to do with religion. It had everything to do with finding my way. And I had a brother at the school that I attended at De La Salle College, Malvern, who had been a really kind man to me because I couldn't read and write. I was totally illiterate, totally. So I decided that I would like to be like him. I'd like to be able to do something for people and escape the situation that I was in as a young man. And that was when I decided that that's what I was going to be, and whatever I wanted to be, I was going to make it happen. And that's how it all kick-started back when I was 10 or 11, yeah.
Fantastic. So, the motto that you chose for your triathlon team back in Melbourne was "Live the life."
That's right.
Yeah. So, could you just give us some thoughts behind it and what it means to you?
Well, the Live the Life motto as a Thoreau, a philosopher, is live the life that you believe. And I've always done that. I've lived the life that I believed in. And it was an appropriate saying, if you like, that was actually presented to me by one of my clients at the time. And I said, yeah, we'll take that on. And it stuck. And I've modelled my coaching career around that theme of living the life that you believe.
Well, And so in your sort of opinion, what does it take to achieve in anything, in life in general?
Well, life's too short not to aim at the best you can be. So what does that really mean? It means that you've got to set yourself up to achieve certain goals in life. And my goal in life back when I was a young teenager was to be a teacher. And that was going to be nearly impossible because I failed every exam I ever sat. But the people that I was under saw something else in me that they kind of thought would make a difference. And that was my tenacity, I guess, because every lunch, every afternoon after school in the monastery, we would have to go on a long run, and if we didn't have dinner that night. That's how tough it was, and I did that with abundant ease and joy, and I made that my motto that I'd make a difference to myself, and that's what happened. Eventually, an old monk, Brother Donatus, taught me how to read and write and study, and that changed my life. And they took me on in the art department because I had a bit of an artistic flair, and they taught me how to do silk screening and cover designs, and taught me how to do drafting and all the rest of it the old-fashioned way, and that set me on the pathway to being an artist, which I am to this day. And so I set myself those goals and did become a teacher. And I taught at a college in Sydney for...
so you can just go upstairs.
Oh, sorry, bear with me. I'm just going to put someone on mute. Hold on, we have a late entrant who isn't on mute. Go for it. Apologies.
Yeah, so, and that kick-started me off into, and then that's where I started coaching and started coaching swimming for the college, and we were unbeatable in Sydney. Now, I was a technical coach in most stuff because I could do that. I was also a gymnast, so I was a self-taught gymnast on parallel bars and vaulting horse and all the rest of it. So having been self-taught, I understood what it meant to be disciplined about teaching myself how to do the technical work really well. Otherwise, I was going to get hurt. And so I became that kind of technical coach. So that's how it all started. Yeah.
And where does sort of mindset and mindfulness come into all of this? Because I think one thing I got from you, Oscar, was you sort of really got into my head, and that's what made me the person I am today. You know, I think it doesn't matter what training plan you follow; it's what's inside the head, and I think that's where you do make a difference.
Yeah, well, along the way, of course, I found out what I could and could not do, and I realised that there were some things that I was okay at, and there's some things that I just wouldn't work. I'm not a big bloke, but I had to change all that. I had to put on some muscle and do all that stuff and become quite athletic. But I learned very early on that if you tried to be someone or try to emulate someone else, it would never happen because you were not them. And so I became my own person, and went from strength to strength on that process, if you like. And I was never afraid to fail, ever, because I learned from the failures, or the failures that I had along the way. I learned from them very quickly to improve what I was good at, rather than pursue something that I was not good at. Pretty simple, really.
Yeah. And what about attitude?
I was told once upon a time there are only three things in life that matter, and they are attitude, attitude, and attitude. And if you haven't got the first one, forget it. It's not ever going to happen. So what is attitude? There's a really interesting thing that I should send to you that you can give your clients if you like, and it's about what's the difference between attitude and knowledge. And if you, I'll show it to you here. If you look at that and see the letters of the alphabet, and you put a number beside each letter of the alphabet from 1 to 26, and then put a number each under each letter of the word knowledge and the word attitude, and add them up, knowledge adds up to about 97%, and attitudes adds up to, strangely enough, 100%. So
Right.
that says it all. So attitude's all about discipline, dedication to the cause, to your cause, and commitment to your cause, and that little old-fashioned word called resilience, sticking at what you set your goals at. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Right.
And I'm saying it's a simple thing to do, but it's as simple as you want to make it. Keep it simple. Don't complicate it. And too many athletes complicate their training, complicate their behaviour, and they don't have to. It's really simple.
So what advice would you give to anyone sort of looking to sort of improve at triathlon or any endurance sport? Because, you know, I mean, there are so many, you know, it can be a selfish sport, you know, recovery is essential. There's so many different aspects. So what would you sort of advise a beginner to target?
Okay, so you know that knowing what you know as an athlete, like for example, the indoor rowing. If you don't get on that ergo machine and row technically correct, what's going to happen? Not a lot, because you're going to injure yourself. You're going to get. It's not going to happen properly. You won't get through it. So the first thing you've got to do is learn the skills. You know, you can do all the training in the world, but if you don't learn the technical skills of swimming, how to ride a bike and run, well, you can go out there and flog your body as much as you like. It's going to fall apart very quickly, as you know.
Certainly do.
Yeah, you do. And I'm a stick for technique. So people come to me and they want to do triathlon. The first thing I say to them, okay, that's good. So you've run a marathon, you've run a half marathon? And they say, no. I said, oh, see you later. Go run a marathon, half marathon before you even think about it. Because if you can't run a marathon or a half marathon comfortably, and I use the word comfortably, well, it's not going to happen. It'll be a one-off wonder. Well, I'm not into that. Can't be bothered.
And what about sort of you know triathlon is, you know, it's time consuming. How, you know, if somebody's struggling to find the time to train, what sort of advice would you give to someone how to manage time?
Okay, well, again, it's all about your mindset and your attitude towards the process that you want to go through. This little old brother, Donatus, that I talked about earlier, I was doing some work in the monastery one day. I think I was sweeping up leaves in the garden or whatever, and he said, "Oh, you need to do that properly." And I said to him, "I haven't got time." And he just turned around to me and he said, "Make time." I thought, okay, I'll make time. Too easy. And I made time to do the job properly. And that's what I've done ever since. But to do that, you can waste time if you don't get the technical work done first. So you can waste a lot of time, a lot of energy if you you go and do a swim session or a bike session. I've coached people, as you know, doing long rides, and they we might be we might be doing a night of 60 or 90 or 180k ride, training ride one Sunday, whatever, and they'll struggle in the hills because they don't know how to ride hills technically correct. So we go back and we learn how to do that first before they go out and do anything else. Pretty simple. Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, his principle works. Keep it simple, stupid.
So, triathlon, some triathletes and cyclists, any endurance sport, you've got the danger of it becoming obsessive. And there's a very fine line between sort of obsession and actually being passionate about something. And I think that's one thing I really did learn from you out in Australia. I probably went out there with an attitude of being a bit obsessive about it. And you really helped me see things differently. So, could you give some advice to maybe someone who is maybe getting a little bit too obsessed and unhealthily obsessed with it?
Yeah, I think, being passionate is one thing and being obsessed is another. It's a really fine line. Being passionate is really being considerate. You've got to have a considerate side to your personality to achieve anything. A true champion is not a compulsive, obsessive person, in all honesty. They're considerate people. They get it. They understand that it's not all about them. It's about their coach. It's about their family, if they've got them, or their friends, or their partner, or whoever it is. So to make it work for them, they've got to get everyone else working with them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And if they don't do that, well, then it's going to turn ugly sooner or later. And I've been down that road big time.
And how did you change it, Oscar?
Well, I had to change it. Yeah, I had to change it to make it work for me, particularly in my first Hawaii Ironman. It was, I was 50 years old, and I won the Australian title, and I'd been on my first Ironman, and was lucky enough to get a spot to Hawaii, and that's when I was running the Triathlon Coaching School, and one of the coaches that I was employing, Jared Donnelly, who'd come third, I think, in Hawaii the year before, he took me aside and he sat me down, and he said to me, "Here's a program. I could show it to you right now. Here's a program. Do this, and you'll get there without getting hurt, emotionally hurt along the way, and or physically hurt along the way." And I did do that, and I survived it all. But prior to that, nothing else mattered other than my triathlon and my whatever else I was doing. And I lost a lot of friends, if you like, or relationships, and even my wife turned on me more often than not. So I took the ball between the horns and had a hard look in the mirror and gave myself a bit of a talking to. Yeah.
And did you sort of fall into the trap of sort of overtraining, under-recovering when you were obsessed? And did you have a healthier balance after, would you say?
Yeah, a lot of that happened before my triathlon days when I was playing rugby or basketball. Nothing else mattered other than my training and my basketball and rugby, and even my life saving. And a marathon run, I ran 11 marathons before I did my first Ironman. and umpteen dozen half marathons. And of course, I flogged my body. And that accumulation of flogging my body eventually finished up shutting my heart down, and my sinatral node and the electrics in my heart just gave up, and I finished up having to get a pacemaker back in 2004. But the damage had been done in the very early years of my life. And I survived until 2004, where I was basically walking dead.
And did you sort of feel it coming, or because I mean, you know, there is a lot more awareness now of maybe the dangers of sort of endurance sport and heart issues. You know, did you have any warning signs?
I did, yeah, I did. And strangely enough, a lady that I was coaching at the time was also an elite athlete, an 800-metre runner for a Victorian champion, and she also had a heart problem for the same reason, flogging her body in her early years, and she was under the guidance of a cardiologist called Andre Laguerche. And funnily enough, and she mentioned it to Andre one day that I was not feeling well. I was huffing and puffing, and my legs were swollen, and so on and so forth. And Andre rang me. Now, Andre Laguerche, I had met in Hawaii in 1996 when he was a young man, winning his age group in the World Championship Ironman. And he came back to Australia. I met him there and befriended him, or we became friends. And he came back to Australia and was training, going up to King Lake one Sunday, and someone wound their window down and hit him over the head with their boot. Now, how stupid is that? And he came off his bike and nearly killed him. And Andre thought, that's it for me, no more triathlon. He went on then to become a cardiologist and a professor of cardiology at the Alfred Hospital. And he rang me and said to me, get your ass into hospital here now, right now, and I need to examine you. And he did, and he saved my life. And set me up and put me in a hospital straight away, and had a pacemaker put in. And I went from there.
Gosh. So, you know, how do you sort of get that balance between sort of training, family, you know, social interaction, having friends? If somebody is struggling to get that balance, what advice would you
get
give?
A coach. You know that. You get yourself a good coach like yourself. You sit down and you draw up a plan, and you make the plan work for that person. And you, as the coach, you need to know who your clients are and what they are or are not capable of. Okay? You need to know their medical history as much as anything, as within reason, so that you can plan the process for them to achieve their goal. No process, no outcome. And they stick to that plan, and that plan might need to change along the way because of one thing or another, strengths and weaknesses, etc. And without a plan, it's not going to happen. You can fly by the seat of your pants for so long, but then it'll all come apart. Yeah. The other thing about being passionate about what you do, you've got to be passionate, obviously, but that passion has to be very well controlled. And the moment you get anxious about something, you've stepped over the line and it's become obsessive. That's where you've got to figure that out, and that's why you need a good coach or an advisor, someone who knows a little bit about the game, who knows the the pitfalls that you're going to be faced. And of course, the overtraining thing is one of the biggest problems that most people get into. They overtrain, and a good coach picks that straight away. You just got to look at someone and say, "Time for you to have a break," and they'll jump up and down and say, "No, but no, I'm the coach. I'm telling you what to do. Time for a break."
Yeah. And where does nutrition come all into this? Because I remember back in Oz, you were, healthy body, healthy mind, and nutrition was a big thing. What advice?
You are what you eat. Okay, it's a simple statement. You are what you eat, and if you don't eat the right food for the right reasons, well, you will come unstuck again. So making sure your energy levels are appropriate, and you want to have a good inkling knowledge about what nutrition is all about, what adenosine triphosphates and adenosine triphosphates and creatine levels are all about, and what foods you can get your adenosine triphosphates from. That's pretty simple. Again, it's a simple thing, and people kind of get carried away with this, that, or the other supplement food. Well, from my mind, my motto has always been bananas and water.
Keep it simple.
Familiar? Yeah, and I still stand by that. You can have all the gels and goos and power bars, and I'll tell you a story. In 1989 in Hawaii, I was going for a ride across the lava fields just as a training ride one day, across what's called the Queen K, and Greg Stewart was one of our elite athletes here in Victoria and was aiming to win this thing that year in 1989. Anyway, I met him. I saw him on the Queen K. It was a stinking hot day. I think the road temperature was about 52 degrees, radiant heat off the tarmac. And he'd stopped for a drink by the roadside, and I stopped and had a drink. And then I said, "Oh, how's it going, Greg?" And I said, "Oh, by the way, what are those things on your top bar on your bike?" And he said to me, "They're power bars." I said, "Oh, really? What are they?" And he said to me, "These are going to help me win this race on Sunday." I said, "Oh, yeah, what are they?" He said, "They're power bars. They're energy bars." And he had them out of the package, stuck around his, they were glued onto his bike. And I said, "Oh, gee, that's good. That's good, Greg. Well, good luck." And I pulled out my banana and drink of water. Anyway, race day came. I beat him. He didn't finish. I thought, okay, end of story. I'll never have a power bar in my life, ever. And and it's to this day, I just thought they're full of rubbish. They're just full of stuff, chemicals and crap. If you want to have a quick energy hit, just go and buy a bar of chocolates at the milk bar and get that into quick energy.
Or some jelly babies.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, that's my
Brilliant. So back to sort of mindset again, actually, Oscar. And I think there's one sort of area that we haven't really chatted about, and that's values. And I know you've spoken to me a lot about sort of values in the past, and it sort of underpins a lot of the mindset work that you do. Could you just sort of go into that a little bit in more detail?
Yeah, well, if you don't have a value about, who you are and why you do what you do, and your consideration for those around you, your family and your workmates, well, then you're really just kidding yourself, to be in all honesty, because they matter and they will help you through the process if you let them, and you don't have an opinion about yourself that is that is misconstrued, if you know what I mean. So your personal values get down to valuing and having belief in what you can and what you can't do. If you don't have a clear understanding of those two simple issues, well, then you're not going to go anywhere. It's not going to happen. So that to me is a powerful value, to be able to acknowledge that, acknowledging your strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Don't be someone who thinks that they know it all, because we don't. I don't know it all, and I'm glad I don't, because you never stop learning, and having the value to be learning, have that learning mindset that you spend your whole life learning about who you are, why you do stuff, when you do it, and that's the beautiful part about it. You've also got to identify the type of personality that you are. That's a tricky one, and you might need some help with that. Often you can go and get help. But I'm not saying you go to a local shrink or whatever, but go to your best friend, and they'll soon tell you who you are, who they think you are, and you can have a think about that. And then measure. It gets down to that word SMART, S-M-A-R-T. Be specific about your personal skills, and have a measurement test about those skills that you do have. Measure them. You can do that in all kinds of ways. You can measure them with time trials or strength tests, or go to an exercise physiologist and get your leg strength. And I recommend having a full medical before you start any endurance training at all. That should be part of your coaching process anyway. Have a medical. And people, I know I'm fine. Oh, no. No. I don't care how fine you think you are. Go and have a medical. You'll be surprised what you might find out. And then make sure that you set yourself up in the value the environment that you're in, value the friends that you have, so that you make the goals that you set yourself attainable. That's really, really critical. And have a can-do attitude. A realistic attitude about, I can do this, or maybe I can do this. Don't ever maybe it. Have a can-do have a can-do mindset about your ability. If you don't have a can-do mindset, well, it ain't going to happen. It's going to be a struggle. And I keep using the word, you should be able to do whatever you're going to be doing comfortably. Inverted commas. There's no such thing as a comfortable doing a comfortable marathon. I understand that, or rowing 100 kilometres on a rower like your mate's doing at the back there. No, there's nothing comfortable, but you know in your own mind that you will do it comfortably because you've made your mind up about that. That's a can-do attitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then making sure that you've got the time to do that, making sure that you share your time with your family, your workmates, your lover, your whatever. Make time for them, to shared time. And if you don't share that time, well, then you're a loser. It's as simple as that. And I tell people that they're losers, as nasty as that might be.
You say it how it is, Oscar.
Hey, well,
I
arrogant people, they don't belong in my game. No way. Otherwise, it all goes horribly wrong, and they influence other people for all the wrong reasons. So I get rid of them. I give them as much help as I can, and if they're not prepared to accept my advice, mutual advice together, well then we can't. It's not going to work. Pretty simple.
So having established sort of these values, sort of what else then, how can we use these values? Sort of I'm thinking about like affirmations and things like that. I know that, you've used that yourself.
Yeah, I get out. I often give talks at various places, and the first question I ask is, what did you think about when you got out of? What was the first thing you thought about when you got out of bed this morning? And people look at me and they, what are you on about? And the answers come back, oh, go to the toilet, clean my teeth, have breakfast. Yeah, okay. But why did you get out of bed this morning? What got you out of bed? And that the answers are just unbelievably bad. And I think, oh, okay, well, maybe go away and have a think about that. And I say to them, I got out of bed this morning to make a difference to myself and then to anyone else that I come in touch with during the day. That's what I get. It's why I get out of bed at 5:30 in the morning to go down the pool and coach a bunch of people to swim, go up and down a 50-metre black line for an hour and a half. That's why I get out of bed, to make it happen for them, because that's what they want, and I'll make it happen for them. And they never know what they're going to get from day to day, ever, because the program is different every day. Every day. It's been like that for 20 years. And it's like a box of chocolates feeding them. And that's why I get out of bed, to make a difference. And if you can't get out of bed to make a difference, don't get out of bed.
As far as performance is concerned, Oscar, how could like someone use sort of these positive affirmations to sort of really help them, in triathlon or any endurance sport?
Oh, well, it's a combination of all of the above, isn't it? It's a combination of your desire to achieve the goals, your short-term, long-term goals for your life. I turn 80 in December, and mate, I can't wait until. So at the moment, we're in lockdown here in Victoria, so we can't do a lot of things. I can't go and train with my buddies with basketball in preparation for Japan. So I've got to make it happen for myself. I go down to the local playground basketball outdoor ring and shoot hoops for about 3/4 of an hour every day. As boring as that might be. And then I meet other people down there and we shoot hoops together. How good's that? So they become a little group then all of a sudden. And they all have they're all like-minded in, okay. And I just say, when they say to me, and these kids are 18, 19-year-olds, how good is that? It's just unbelievable. And they look at me and go, what are you doing down here, you silly old bugger? Well, I'm training to go to Japan for the World Championships to play for Australia. That's what I'm doing down here. What are you doing down here? And they tell me, and away we go. It doesn't get any better than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's all about making it happen.
It's not about, what are you eating or whatever. And I don't tell them what to do, but we just do stuff together, and it works. And I pick stuff up from them. They're quite competitive, They're 18, 19-year-olds, and they think they can muscle me around. No, it doesn't work like that. And then they learn stuff from me. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's making a difference.
So, in your life, Oscar, I mean, you've had some, truly horrific sort of experiences. How have you got through these? I'm just thinking, for anyone sort of struggling at the moment, facing tough times, what advice would you give to anyone?
Okay. Back in 1991, when I was hit by the car, when a guy ran a red light, and I was on my bike out training, and he hit me. I went through his windscreen. I snapped 15 ribs on my right side, back and front, and crushed my lung. So I've only got one lung. And I died. I saw it all happening from a great height. They stabbed me in the chest with a one-way valve, and when the ambulance got there, it was my lucky day because behind the car that hit me was one of Melbourne's top general surgeons, and he knew what was wrong with me, and he stood over me, and I had blood coming out my nose, my ears, my mouth. The pain was extraordinarily bad, and he said, "Where does it hurt most?" Well, I couldn't talk. So he knew that I had pneumothorax, or a flail segment, which means that my thorax filled up with air and crushed my heart, which caused me to die briefly. And the ambulance was only 5 minutes down the road, or the hospital was 5 minutes down the road, and they got there within 5 minutes or whatever, and they stabbed me in the chest with a one-way valve and let the air out of my thorax. Got me back, and I finished up in hospital down the road, and 2 days later, when I was in intensive care, I was on the recovery bed with test tubes hanging out of my throat, my mouth, my transfusions and the whole bit, and I was doing crunches on the bed, and the nurse came in and said, What are you doing? I said, I'm getting ready for my next race. And she looked at me and said, "You're a sick man, you're an idiot." I said, "Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm doing crunches, getting ready for my next race." And she said, she just walked away, and I said, "Oh, and by the way, you tell the doctor to come in and take the epidural out of my back, because it's not working." This is 2 days after. I was in intensive care for 2 weeks, all right? I had 4 or 5 blood transfusions because I was bleeding internally and all the rest of it. And anyway, I got out through that, got through the whole doctor thing, and 4 months after the accident, I won an Australian Olympic distance championship. 6 months after the accident, I came second in the Australian Ironman. What does that tell you? I'm crazy,
Yeah.
obsessed, passionate. Nah, it told that I'd made my mind up, going back all those years back to when I was 10 or 11, that I would make a difference to myself. And this was a way of making a difference to myself. I'd lost a daughter when she was 3, and she didn't see life. So I thought, right, I'm going to do this for her. But then I had another daughter who was 12 at the time, and I thought, I'm going to do this for her because this will help her achieve things in her life that she might not know about. And of course, she's now 36. At the age of 36, she's the managing director of the Woolworths stores in Victoria. Hello. Because she'd made her mind up. She'd seen what I'd done, and she's made a difference to herself because she's done the hard work. She set herself up to be an achiever. Suits me.
It's all about what's in here.
Yeah, what goes on between the 6 inches between your ears, and your passion to live. You're not. And the other thing that I keep saying to people is, you are not here for practice. Make the most of what you've got, because if you don't do it now, you will never do it, and the opportunity lost is too great. And I've been there, done that. My daughter was killed. I was killed. My son was hit by a cement truck. He's never had a life. He's 50 years old, 51 this week. He's never had a life. He was hit by a cement truck when he was 23 and was disabled ever since. And I'm teaching him how to walk now, right now. I'm doing that with him every day. And it's been like that for 20 odd years. And that's what it's about, making a difference. And if you can't do that as a simple human being, well, have a good hard look in the fucking mirror.
We'll just end it that.
Well, if you can't do that and be honest with yourself and say, who am I? What am I doing with myself? I'm fat, overweight and unfit. Why is that so? What have I achieved? I'm doing an exhibition at the moment, building up an exhibition. You can see behind the drawings behind me. I'm building up a folio, doing these incredible drawings of outback Victoria and old farms and stuff. And I'm going to have a massive exhibition at the beginning of the year, next year. Going to be huge.
Fantastic.
Because that I've had 5 phone calls today about the drawings that I've just finished and sent to copies of to Susie out in Horsham, and it was beautiful because she said, "Oh yeah, that's great. I know the girlfriend of mine who lived on that farm, and that was a shearing shed, and I'm going to buy that for her at the exhibition, and I'm going to give it to her." Beautiful. That's what it's about. Cheering it around. And again, it's not an athletic thing, but it's a goal to achieve, to make a difference for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, massively. Oscar, I mean, you really are, considering what you've been through, you really are a true inspiration. And
I hate the word inspiration.
well, you are.
No, I'm not inspired. I've never been inspired by anyone, ever. And all the people that I've been involved with who have been great athletes, I've never been inspired by them, ever. Because I'm not them. It's pretty simple. I'm not them. I don't want to be like them because I never will be. I've got to do my shit, not their shit. Does that make sense?
Yes, but you've shown us how important attitude is. A lot of people could crumble, but having that positive attitude has enabled you to do what you are doing now.
Yeah, and if I can pass that message on, that's great. But people have got to accept that too, don't they? There's no magic wand.
Carol's actually just come in with a really good question. Have you got any tips for dealing with excessive pre-race nerves?
Yeah, use them. Use them. They are your best friend. Stress before a race. I vomit before a race, or I vomited before a grand final of rugby, or a basketball game. I vomit because I'm so stressed out, and I use that stress to make it happen for me. And I've only got one rule in life. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe not, judging by.
Okay, I've only got one rule in life. Don't fuck with Oscar. Okay? I said it. Or don't mess with Oscar. And I say that because when I was a little kid, and I stopped, I said, no, that's got to stop. I'm going to use that fear of failure to succeed. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Massively. Yeah.
When I die, on my tombstone will say, here lies a guy who failed successfully.
Do not be afraid to fail.
No, don't be afraid to fail. That's going to drive you to succeed. And if you do fail, learn from that failure to make it happen the next time. Because failure, you know what the definition of failure is, don't you? A litany,
No, tell us.
a litany of excuses. That's failure. That's true failure. Oh, I can't be bothered. Oh, next time. No, it's right here, right now. This is it. Body on the line. No, nose to the grindstone. It's going to happen. Step over that line to the start and bang. Make that fear work for you.
I hope that's answered your question, Carol.
Does it or not? Not yes or no.
I think we've got the thumbs up, Oscar.
Oh, good. Okay.
Brilliant. So can you just give us your final thoughts on sort of living the life, Oscar?
Oh, I don't know. I said it all, I think.
Just summarise for us.
Yeah, I think when it all boils down, you've got to be happy about what you are doing in your life. You've got to be at peace with it. You've got to be able to say, okay, I'm learning this stuff. I'm learning learning how to do something in my life that I'm good at or that I'd like to learn. Like I'm still learning how to draw these old farmhouses, etc. And I learn new stuff every day. And that's a good thing for me. And I'll continue to do that because nothing is perfect. And that's the beautiful part about living. You can get up and say, oh, this is going to be great today. What am I going to learn today? It might be, and that's why I work with young men in particular, young 15, 14-year-old, 15, 16-year-olds. And they're on the brink of real living. Even with my daughter, she's 36. You know what that's like. She's on the threshold of blossoming as a person with her 5-year-old son now. You know, it's a whole new environment that she's going to have to put herself into, and so she'll never stop learning, and that will make her life fruitful and worthwhile. Because at the end of it, when you look back and you say, well, was it worth it? You know, I can say, yeah, it was worth it. A lot of it was tough, and I've had to get through some tough, really tough times with what I've had to go through. But I've made those tough times work for me and for those that I love and my friends. And they've passed those understandings about what life is really about to them. And I've just had that I just said it before, a couple of ladies who want to go down and do some PT, some fitness stuff down the local park. Just bang, out of the blue. Yeah, we'll do that. Just let me know what you want. Not about what I've got. We've got to do it together. Not me just going down and saying, do this, do that. What do you want? So it's a sharing thing. And that's the good part about understanding what life is about, sharing it. I'll tell you another little story, which quickly, I've just been, I was doing a sculpture, or was commissioned to do a sculpture for the De La Salle College up the road here. It's a pretty nasty kind of thing, but as a memorial for victims of pedophilia. How bad's that? That's really sad. And I was commissioned to do this sculpture. So I said, yeah, fine, we'll do that. And having been in the monastery, having been a monk, having been through the drama of cloistered life and all the rest of it, and being celibate and taking vows and but then I was sexually abused when I was a young man by one of my superiors, and it ended badly for him because I put him up against my cell wall, and broke his nose and flattened him because he offended me. And 2 weeks later, they sent me to South Australia to cover it up, to a school in South Australia where I saw the similar stuff happening. And again, it was, they should never have done that to me because they didn't understand who I was. So I got through all that, and I've had to deal with that all of my life. So I've come up with the sculpture of a young man on one knee with his hand over his heart, his hand out for a hand up. Right? On one knee because, like all of us, we will have disappointments and failures along the way, but we're on one knee and we can stand up from that. I've got a hand on my heart because I'm a person who's got values and a belief in myself, and I've got a hand out to be, and everyone needs a hand up in life. And you and I have done that. Coaches, that's why we coach, is to give people a hand to achieve their goals. Is that right?
Oh, massively.
It's one of the reasons we do it. Of course it is. But sadly, they've rejected the sculpture because it was too powerful. Believe that. I think, really? Oh, okay. It's mind-boggling. I couldn't believe it. That it was too powerful an image for some people to accept. I thought, well, bad luck. But they'll use, they'll want some other stuff. So that's pretty sad, isn't it? That people find the truth sometimes too hard to bear.
Gosh. Yes, some very powerful thoughts there to finish on, Oscar. But gosh, no, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your sort of experiences with us. Certainly you've made a difference to me, and I'm sure, today we hope will make a big difference to other people. So thank you so much for your time, Oscar.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Thank you very, very much.
All right. Well, good luck with it all. And how's it going, by the way, Carol?
Hold on. I'm just gonna put Carol. So we're joined today by Carol, and she's got Rod in the background doing his 100-kilometer challenge. Bear with me. I am just going to try. Hold on. Here we go. Carol.
Okay.
How's Rod doing?
He's not doing too badly. He's on about 33k to go now, and and he's looking all right. I think he's going to get to the end, which is the main thing, and he's still on the world record pace.
Oh wow! Awesome, beautiful.
Yes, yeah, and also Oscar, it's his 63rd birthday today,
beautiful.
And of course 100k is what, 62 point something whatever miles, so what with the warm-up that he did, he'll be rowing 63 miles on his 63rd birthday.
What a great achievement. So that's a personal achievement that he'll have for the rest of his life and can sharing with you right now. And
absolutely.
Right. And these are beautiful goals. They're physical goals, but they're also the mental discipline goals, aren't they?
Oh, yes.
You're mentally disciplined to do that. And that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, good on him.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. And thank you very much. I've very much enjoyed today. Right. Yeah, it was really good, and you're very inspirational, and Don't
use that word, Carol.
Good to hear from you.
No, thank you, Oscar. And
take away what you want with it, but understand that it's all about being true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and which is what Gar's been doing, but right now he's being true to himself to finish that goal set.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you
so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Oscar. Rod, all the best, and thank you everyone for listening. I really hope that it does make a difference.
Yeah.
Take care.